Hello, welcome to my creative critical reflection. In this video, I will be answering 4 questions relating to my final product. So let's begin. How did I use or challenge conventions and represent social groups or issues? My product mainly follows the conventions of crime thrillers like Taken and The Joker, and elements of psychological thrillers like Severance. Crime thrillers focus on illegal acts, suspense, and power dynamics, which I follow in my final product, like the moment when Samantha's drink is spiked, following her getting abducted by an organization. This scene creates tension and drives the narrative. I use restricted narration so that the audience learns narration at the same time as the protagonist, creating mystery and suspense while asking questions like why was she particularly targeted? Psychological thriller elements are shown through Samantha's memory loss and the use of distorted sound effects like echoes and planned dialogues focusing on Samantha's past to blur her reality and create instability. The forced digital marketer label creates a sudden juxtaposition from her passionate acting career, reflects on an identity crisis by manipulation. For locations, I used Duncan purposely as it was a normal and public looking space which follows crime thriller conventions where criminal acts happen in ordinary environments, forming tension. I used our school's registration offices to create a corporate environment that suggests the company's organized formality, also reinforcing the CEO's dominance and authority. For visuals, I used low-key lighting, mixing red and blue tones to form a purple tone with slight red and blue accents. I use handheld camera movements and Dutch angles to represent Samantha losing consciousness. This technique creates suspense and psychological tension without using harsh physical violence. I also use natural lighting during a conversation at Dunkin' to apply normality, making the later disruption more unsettling. I also challenge conventions by using a corporate entity as my main antagonist rather than using a single villain. This decision shifts the threat from an individual to an entire institution. I depicted Samantha as a passionate and intelligent individual rather than an overly passive and emotional person, which is usually how female protagonists are portrayed. The choices of using locations like Duncan also contradict common conventions of dark and isolated settings of thrillers. My opening sequence represents social groups. Samantha represents creative and artistically passionate individuals who feel dictated and chained to corporate environments, while the CEO represents authority, exploitation, and hierarchies. This shows how normal and ordinary young adults can be manipulated, giving social relevance and depth. How does my product engage audiences and how would it be distributed if it were a real media text? My product engages audience through visual storytelling, narrative, and technical techniques used throughout the opening. In scene 2, I use visual effects like blurs to depict Samantha's drink has been spiked, immediately signaling danger and threat to the audience. This technique increases tension and attracts the audience into wondering what's gonna happen. In scene 3, I use distorted sound effects of dialogues to represent Samantha's fragmented memory and deliberately faded them out when she regained consciousness to show the exact moment her memories had been lost. This creates a sense of suspense and mystery to the audience. Not to mention, I use the CEO's voice first by making him say, "Let's get her ready." This was used to depict dominance even in Samantha's head. A smoking disclaimer was included to ensure the film did not promote smoking and to comply with media regulations, reflecting responsible media production practices. The cigar was used to represent the power and authority of the CEO, giving the impression of immense control to the audience. Costume design was also used to engage audiences. Samantha's checkered pajamas and blue casuals grounds her as relatable, while small gestures like fidgeting with her necklace express anxiety visually, helping the audience connect to her emotionally. The bodyguard wears sunglasses and formals in black and white to follow the stereotypical look of a bodyguard and suggest authority and control, while the CEO wears sneakers and is seated informally to depict youthfulness, confidence, and make him appear menacing. I also use narrative techniques to engage the audience. The restricted perspective allows viewers to uncover information alongside Samantha, increasing suspense and curiosity. Our target audience is primarily 16 to 19-year-olds, while the opening appeals to a broader 15 to 25 age range. This age group craves thrillers. Our target audience are those who are particularly interested in crime thrillers and psychological thrillers, as these combine tension, relatability, and mystery. In terms of distribution, if this were a real media text, I would release it on digital platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and HBO Max. These sites are particular with the target demographic. I will also submit it to film festivals so that I can reach audiences who appreciate suspenseful and criminal storytelling. To market my media text, I would use social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This is to increase my audience count. How did I integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project? In my project, I implemented a range of hardware, software, and online to enhance my production quality and create a professional crime psychological thriller. Firstly, I used the iPhone 17 Pro Max and took advantage of its cinematic mode to add a filmic visual style. I recorded in 4K and 30 FPS to maintain high resolution and smooth motion, which increased our overall production value. I wanted to maintain my stability, so I used tripods and a phone cage to do so. This prevented any unnecessary camera shake and ensured controlled framing. To enhance our audio quality, I ensured to use DJI mics. This significantly improved clarity of voiceovers and dialogue. Sound was a very important convention in thriller genres as it helped build tension and suspense. Lighting was also planned and used effectively. In scene 1, I used the GVM lights to create a purple hue with red and blue tones. This was used to make the CEO and his atmosphere look menacing. The color choices represented power and dominance. For softwares, I edited and color graded everything using CapCut. The user-friendly editing software allowed me to layer visuals, sound effects, and transitions to construct meaning. I also used LUTs from Lutify Me alongside CapCut's built-in color grading options to manipulate tone and atmosphere. For example, in Scene 3, I used a cinematic green LUT to make the office look sterile and eerie, evaluating the unease. I edited special effects and VFX to create environments that demonstrate our thriller conventions. In Scene 1, I used a green screen so that I can edit in a kitchen backdrop to create an artificial advertisement-like atmosphere. YouTube's royalty-free audio library allowed me to edit in background scores without violating any copyright laws, reflecting on professional awareness of legal media regulations. Free sound allowed users to select from a range of sound effects. It allowed me to use things fit for our scene and genre, which also prevented us from breaking copyright laws. I used Google Drive to transfer the footage from a phone to a laptop so it could be edited. Google Drive was the best choice for this as it ensured no quality reduction in any clip. And finally, I used Canva to design and create mood boards and a title card for my opening sequence. And finally, how did my production skills develop throughout this entire project? Throughout the project, my filmmaking skills had developed significantly. At first, I had very little knowledge about editing. I knew just the basic transition and cuts. But throughout the project, I learned certain aspects like color grading, VFX, sound editing, and how they can create tension, suspense, and thrill.
Hold it.
As the
Lift it
director
up.
of this opening, I improved my communication and planning skills along the way and became more confident in leading the cast and team, ensuring quality performance that matched the intended tone. My narrative and technical skills also significantly developed throughout the project. For starters, I learned to structure scenes clearly using and challenging genre conventions to build suspense. My camera skills, though being the best out of all, lacked experience. I did not know much about ISO, exposure, FPS, shots, and angles. But throughout production, I learned how these technical cinematography elements can enhance quality and how they influence lighting, depth of field, and angle decisions.